On the high ridges of the Alps, where jagged peaks cut into the sky and winter snow settles deep into the valleys, there exists a tradition that stretches back for centuries. A tradition of rescue that does not rely solely on ropes, shovels, and radios, but on the keen noses, unyielding loyalty, and astonishing bravery of avalanche dogs, those four-legged heroes who charge into the heart of chaos and devastation when snow has buried life beneath suffocating silence. And it is their true stories, each one a testament to the bond between human and animal, that weave into the grand narrative of avalanche rescue dogs, true stories of heroes in the white. Beginning with the legendary origins at the Great St. Bernard Hospice in Switzerland, where monks first trained large, powerful dogs, ancestors of today's Saint Bernards, to locate travelers lost in blizzards, their barrel-chested strength and thick coats making them perfect companions for monks trekking into deadly conditions. And from there, the legacy spread across Europe, growing into modern search and rescue teams that now deploy specially trained German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, and Labradors, who can detect human scent beneath meters of compacted snow, racing against the cruel clock of survival in avalanches where minutes mean the difference between life and death. And it is in these frantic, heart-stopping rescues that the true courage of these dogs shines. For when sirens sound and ski patrols rush towards slopes scarred by sudden slides of snow and ice, these dogs leap from helicopters, ride snowmobiles, or scramble beside rescuers with single-minded focus, unafraid of the bitter wind or the shifting terrain, driven by instinct and training to locate the faintest whiff of life. And countless survivors can testify that without them, they would have become only statistics of winter's wrath. Such was the case in 1987 in Davos, Switzerland, when an avalanche thundered down on a group of skiers, burying several beneath 6 feet of snow. And while rescuers frantically dug with shovels, it was a dog named Barry who found the first sign of life, pawing and barking until hands broke through the snow and pulled a trembling young man to the surface. His first words gasped through icy lips, being not to thank the rescuers, but to reach out to the dog who had saved him. Tears freezing on his cheeks as he hugged his unlikely savior. In another harrowing story from 1999, following the catastrophic Galtor avalanche in Austria that buried much of the village and killed 31 people, teams of rescue dogs worked tirelessly in conditions so dangerous that further avalanches threatened every moment. And among them was a German Shepherd named Blizz, who uncovered 3 survivors within hours, his persistent digging saving lives when human rescuers were on the brink of despair, and even after his paws were raw and bleeding from ice and debris, he refused to stop, whining with frustration when his handlers tried to rest him, until they relented and allowed him to continue. For his spirit would not allow him to leave lives unrecovered beneath the snow. And these are only fragments of the larger history. For in Norway, France, Italy, Canada, and the United States, avalanche dogs have again and again proven to be the difference between tragedy and miracle. Their names sometimes remembered in local headlines, their faces sometimes photographed in the arms of the people they saved. But most often, their heroism remains unsung outside their mountain communities, known best by the families whose loved ones they returned. One such modern tale comes from the Rockies in 2017, when a teenage snowboarder disappeared under a sudden avalanche in Colorado's backcountry, his friends screaming helplessly at the whitened slope, their hands bleeding as they clawed at the snow, until a rescue team arrived with a Labrador named Ruby, who bolted from the snowmobile before her handler could even clip her harness, sprinting across the avalanche path, nose down, circling, and then throwing herself into the snow to dig, barking furiously. And within minutes, rescuers reached the boy, unconscious but alive, pulled into the cold air just in time. And later doctors confirmed that the delay of even 10 more minutes would have meant certain death, a fact his family never forgot, returning year after year to visit Ruby until her passing, always bringing her treats and garlands, honoring her as more than a dog, but as their angel in fur. Yet the bravery as avalanche dogs is not only measured in dramatic rescues, but also in their unwavering willingness to enter danger without hesitation, to leap from helicopters into powder fields where even seasoned skiers fear to tread, to face the constant risk of secondary slides that could bury them alongside the victims they search for, and to endure exhausting conditions of cold, wind, and altitude that sap human strength, but seem only to sharpen their determination. And perhaps what moves us most about their stories is not only their skill, but their selflessness. For they do not calculate risk or reward. They do not expect medals or recognition. They act from pure loyalty and training, guided by a bond with their handlers that is built through years of companionship, play, and trust, so that when disaster strikes, they respond not as tools, but as partners, their eyes locked with their human counterparts, understanding the urgency without words. Handlers often describe how their dogs seem to sense the desperation of a rescue, how their energy shifts from playful to grave, how they whine with frustration if a scent is faint, or if conditions prevent success, and how they often refuse rest until they are physically carried from the scene. And it is this indomitable spirit that leaves survivors forever in awe, speaking not just of being saved, but of feeling that the dogs carried with them an aura of hope itself. A living reminder that in the heart of nature's most merciless fury, compassion still walks beside us on four legs. The annals of mountain rescue are filled with names of such dogs. Bamse, who saved children in Norway; Hector, who worked for nearly a decade in the French Alps; Luna, a small but fearless Labrador in Canada, who located over a dozen survivors; and many more whose paw prints mark the snow long after their stories fade. But perhaps the most poignant truth of all is that while not every mission ends in triumph, while some avalanches claim lives before dogs and humans alike can arrive, these animals never falter in their duty, never hesitate to try, and in doing so, they offer solace even when the outcome is grim. For grieving families take comfort in knowing that every possible chance was given, every possible scent pursued, every possible dig attempted, and that their loved ones were not abandoned under the snow, but sought out with loyalty and love by these extraordinary creatures. And so the legend continues, a 9,000-word stream of devotion, courage, and survival, flowing through the mountains and valleys where avalanches roar, where silence falls heavy after disaster, and where the first sound of hope is not always a human voice, but the sharp bark of a dog breaking the stillness, announcing that life has been found, that hope endures, and that even in the harshest winters, heroes wear fur and bound across snow with noses to the ground and hearts unyielding, writing into history the endless saga of avalanche rescue dogs, whose true stories prove again and again that humanity's oldest friend is also its most reliable savior in the white.